Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you so very much. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. It allows me to do what I do. And for my Patreon supporters, thank you. So my new Patreons, thank you very, very much. You help me do what I do, and you help keep me just independent and able to give you my unique take on a whole bunch of things, my unique view of politics. And ladies and gentlemen, this is really, really interesting. So you have a Supreme Court decision. And by the way, to my super chat, to Eric H526 and Luke St. Martin, thank you very much. The two best moderators in all of YouTube. This is a really, really, really interesting Supreme Court decision that actually helps President Trump greatly. And I have no clue why nobody's making a big deal about this. Like, I don't understand why this is not a big deal. It should be something that President Trump views as a victory. I believe he does. Let's see. I think that he tweeted something about it, but I'll just read you this CBS article. Which candidates to the 7 Faithless Electors support? December 21st, 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, this comes... You have to, when you talk about the Electoral College and the popular vote, the only reason Democrats want the popular vote is because they think that because media is on their side and they can outspend Trump 2-1. So they outspent President Trump 2-1. They still lost. They outspent President Trump 2-1. They still lost. Gary Johnson took almost 4.5 million votes away from Trump. So they might not even win the popular vote this year. I don't think they will. I'm telling you, I really don't think they win the popular vote. They're not going to win the election. So President Trump's going to win the election for a number of reasons. We had record low unemployment, record low Black and Latino unemployment. He's bringing home Americans from America's longest-running military conflict. Signed the First Step Act. Signed legislation increasing funding for historically black colleges and universities. Signed an executive order combating anti-Semitism, which is rampant on college campuses. First president to step foot in North Korea. The only president, really, to engage in meaningful tariffs against China. If you want to say, well, that's not the way to do it, fine. That's totally, if you disagree with President Trump on policies, that's fine. That's fine, but he's the only, and I don't blame China for doing what they have to do to bring wealth or to ensure that their country gains wealth and battles poverty. They're going to be the number one economy. In 30 years, it won't even be close. It'll be China and then India and then the United States. Maybe like a distant third. So now is the only time that you have to address the $400 billion trade deficit because it can get to $1 trillion within a decade. Once it gets to $1 trillion in terms of a trade deficit, where we're buying $1 trillion more than they're buying from us, they're not going to have any incentive. Tariffs won't work, and the Trans-Pacific Partnership wouldn't have worked either. That would have been horrendous. That would have led to a loss of 400. This is Tufts. I believe Tufts University had a study. 400,000 jobs lost because of the Trans-Pacific Partnership from the Midwest. But if you look, ladies and gentlemen, this is really interesting. Which candidates did the 7 Faithless Electors support? They try to say, well, actually Trump benefited. No, he didn't. And I'll read you. Okay, a historic number of Faithless Electors. See, they didn't go from Clinton to Trump. None of these Faithless Electors chose Trump. I don't believe. But here, a historic number of Faithless Electors, 7 in total, each cast their ballots on Monday for a candidate other than the one who won his or her state. This is December 21st, 2016. What may be more surprising, given the level of protest against Donald Trump and the pressure exerted on Republican electors, is that a greater number were untrue to Hillary Clinton than to Mr. Trump. Well, really, that's not exactly the case. Now, if you remember, when Clinton won the popular vote, she outspent Trump 2-1. She outspent Trump $1.2 billion to $600 million. So I don't, for the life of me, I don't understand how Democrats ignore this. If the opposite were true, see, generally when I say that, I am kind of alluding to, well, what would happen if the opposite were true? But most Democrats, pretty much all Democrats, cannot fathom if the shoe was on the other foot or if the roles were reversed. They just can't fathom being in President Trump's shoes at all, whether it's a Steele dossier purchased by Clinton or whether it's his words never given any context or nuance. They just can't. It's impossible. It's like impossible for them to react in a manner where they're facing what President Trump faces. But here, a historic number of faithless electors, 7 in total, each cast their ballots on Monday for a candidate other than the one who won his or her state. What may be more surprising, given the level of protests against Donald Trump and the pressure exerted on Republican electors, is that a greater number were untrue to Hillary Clinton than to Mr. Trump. Well, let's read. Among the 538 electors chosen to represent their states in Electoral College, 5 were faithless to the Democratic nominee and 2 to the Republican. Okay, prior to this year, there hasn't been more than one faithless elector in any presidential election since 1948. So you had a push right before President Trump was inaugurated for faithless electors to go with their conscience and ignore the Electoral College. See, Democrats only want to abolish the Electoral College because they think they can win only with the popular vote. Now, if by chance Republicans got the media or society changed a bit and realized that Democrats don't care about the value system and ideals that they claim to care about, and then Republicans, let's just say, because it wasn't that long ago where the tables were turned. Okay, but let's say, for example, that Republicans could get the popular vote. If President Trump gets the popular vote this year, which is, I think there's a good chance of it, you don't have Gary Johnson took 4.5 million votes. Then you have Kanye West taking votes from Democrats. And they had 4 years to craft a message to the average American, and they didn't. And now they're going to they blamed Russia for 4 years, and then Jill Stein, now they're going to blame Kanye West. And he can win. I'm telling you, he could win. He could become president if he runs as a Republican in 2024 and can communicate a platform that resonates with conservatives, but also liberals to an extent. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, hello. All right, so here, 4 of the faithless electors came from Washington, a state won by Clinton. So 4 of the faithless electors came from Washington. 3 of them cast their votes for former Secretary of State Colin Powell. That's not helping. That's not helping Trump. Okay, so when you say, oh well, 5 went against Clinton, it's like, no, Colin Powell voted for Clinton, and that's just a way for them to say, well, we're conservative, but we don't like Trump's personality. They also participated in a movement called, the so-called Hamilton electors, based their ideology on Alexander Hamilton, who wrote about the Electoral College in the Federalist Paper. Okay, the 4th faithless elector voted for Faith Spotted Eagle, a woman who was a member of the Yankton Sioux Nation. Okay, she played a public role in opposing the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines. President-elect Trump lost Texas elector Christopher Supran to John Kasich. Another Texas elector voted for Ron Paul. They voted for Ron Paul. Okay, so nobody really. So it was just these electors said, we're not voting for Trump. Okay, one I think voted for Bernie Sanders. Among the Democratic faithless electors, who cast his vote for Bernie Sanders instead of Hillary Clinton. He said he believes the Electoral College is outdated. Okay, see, this is the interesting thing. In this day and age, people just decide, well, I just think this, so I'm going to just break the law or circumvent the law, and that's it, because I just feel this way. It's like, who cares how you feel? If you're an elector, well, first of all, Supreme Court says a state may require presidential electors to support its popular vote winner, which is what normally we always thought was the case. So this is the Washington Post. The Supreme Court ruled unanimously on Monday that a state may require presidential electors to support the winner of its popular vote and may punish or replace those who don't, settling a disputed issue in advance of this fall's election. This is why when people say, well, what if they cheat? What if they cheat? They have to get close to cheat. I'm telling you, today I did an upload. I'm telling you, Trump could win Nevada. Trump could win Minnesota. You know how many votes Gary Johnson took from President Trump? No one's talking about this. I have no clue why. He took over 120,000 votes. Clinton only won Minnesota by like 35,000 votes. Clinton won Nevada by like 25,000 votes, and Gary Johnson took a lot more than 25,000 votes. So we can go through state by state. The states that Trump lost, like Nevada, Minnesota has 10 Electoral College votes. That is huge. That is very, very important. When Democrats lose, they will realize, well, first of all, it's interesting. When you look at Kanye West, Resistance Twitter is like livid. They're like livid now. They can't believe that Kanye West is going to take votes from them. This is interesting because they spent the past 3 months saying you have to elevate voices. You have to elevate voices and you have to listen to people of color and elevate their voices. And then Kanye West, a black man, runs for president and they descend upon him. And here's a self-made billionaire, an icon in music. You can like his music or dislike his music, but he's still more relevant today than any Hollywood celebrity. Really, people obviously don't go because of the pandemic to movie theaters, but they weren't going to theaters even before the pandemic. There's no such thing as a movie star anymore. There's just people who are famous just for being famous. There's no such thing as a movie star. And all the most famous musical artists happen to be famous before 2010 or 2007 or 2006. Once Hollywood and music, once the internet basically took over Hollywood and the entertainment industry, you don't really have artists that are global sensations. Okay, Kanye West is still a global sensation. There's not really a country in the world where you're not going to find young people or at least people in their 30s who don't know who Kanye West is. You will find people who don't know who Robert De Niro is, even though if you're above the age of 40, you know who he is, obviously. But if you're 20, if you're 22, you know who Kanye West is. You might not know that Robert De Niro, was in The Godfather and Raging Bull. Or you might not know that. You probably don't, because it's not relevant to you. Julie Lewis, thank you, Julie. Thank you. Love James Woods. Love John Voight. Love Clint Eastwood. Love Roseanne Barr. Love Kanye West. I love anyone who tells Hollywood to take a hike. And this is the thing. Julie Lewis, thank you so very much. Julie, everyone here, this is the thing. Regarding the popular vote, the Electoral College, this election, President Trump's going to win this election. Okay, but here's the big issue. The issue is the following. I don't care I don't care, ladies and gentlemen, if a person, I don't care if a person votes for Clinton, because it's going to be Hillary Clinton. It's not going to be Biden. That doesn't bother me. I don't really care at all. Okay? I don't really care. If they believe in, like I was listening today to a whole bunch of left-leaning, absurd nonsense, just on the internet, just listening to pundits or activists or, certain people. It was about international relations. It was about, issues pertaining to geopolitics in other countries. Let's just leave it at that, because I don't want to get into it now. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to do a segment on this. And it was actually a person admitting that they utilize a very respected left-leaning, person talking about a very contentious geopolitical crisis that's always ongoing. And he admitted that he utilizes words and phrases that are not entirely accurate, but they're kind of accurate. But they're kind of appropriate. That got me angry. Indignant. I was outraged. In my head, I condemned this man. And then instantly I said, I would love to debate him. Okay, one of these days I think I will. But I came up with arguments very quickly in my mind saying, wait a second, you're admitting you're utilizing phrases and words that are politically charged simply to get a reaction, not because they're accurate or they're truthful. So what does that have to do with this election? Okay. Julie Lewis, thank you. This election is about people voting for something and people voting against something. Simply voting against Trump is not a platform. This is one of the big reasons why Democrats will lose and they will completely implode. And this will be the channel to watch and H.A. Goodman's other channel. If they go with Biden, they do not win the popular vote. So I don't want to hear, I don't care what anyone says. Let's say my prediction of Clinton not becoming, first of all, Clinton is going to become nominee. That will be the biggest political prediction of all time. But when people say, oh my God, what if Clinton doesn't become nominee? What's going to happen to you? It's like, well, nothing's going to happen. Actually, only great things are going to happen, because then you have President Trump with a mandate, an ironclad mandate, where he then wins the popular vote and the Electoral College. Well, first of all, you always had to win the Electoral College anyway. They knew this going in. So they always move the goalpost. They were saying they had a solid Electoral College lead prior to Election Day in 2016. They had a solid Electoral College lead, okay? Then they lost the Electoral College. Then they tried to get electors not to vote for President Trump. Then they blamed Russia. Then they said Facebook ads and Twitter bots stole the election. And then they sent DNC emails that showed that made Debbie Wasserman Schultz resign in disgrace. That stole the election from them. So knowing about their corruption was a Russian plot. Then they spent 3 years not on alleviating poverty in urban areas, not on elevating voices, not on wealth inequality, not on climate change, not on Medicare for all, but investigating President Trump because his campaign might have worked with Russia to hack the DNC. Because their lives revolve around winning. And when they lose again, their legitimacy, their credibility, everything goes down the toilet. Why are people even listening to pundits and pollsters and cable news? Like, they listen because they think Trump is an anomaly. Their entire existence is predicated upon Trump being an anomaly. Mr. Var Hansen! I need a classic HA shout-out, TM. Trademark. Read comments on page like Rebel Media. It's maddening to see amount of people who think Biden will win no contest. Trump will be crying. Cheers, brother. Mr. Var Hansen! Mr. Var Hansen, thank you! Big shout-out to Mr. Var Hansen. Thank you so very much. They are going to... Do you remember the scene in Star Wars where... what was it like? It was the Death Star... that scene? Oh, let's see. Where Luke Skywalker just obliterates... Wow, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. That's going to be the political. When the Empire's signature, I don't know, what was it, a satellite? Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That's that's pretty much what the political equivalent. Thank you, Mr. Var Hansen. Thank you so very much, and thank you for watching. Thank you for dealing with me since 2016. My God Almighty, thank you, Mr. Var Hansen. Thank you, greatly appreciate it. It makes my day when people have been watching me since 2016 or 2017. Nobody really knows who I am, which is fantastic. I can count on my hand the times where I've been recognized, but it's few and far between in 4 years. And even that's oh my God. It's unbelievable. What a beautiful feeling, great feeling. Luckily I haven't met, I think there've been some people who didn't like me and maybe looked at me, but I don't think so. Maybe it's just me being paranoid. But Mr. Var Hansen, thank you so very much. It feels great to know that people have been watching me when I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. So, it feels great to just hear these really uplifting messages. So thank you, Mr. Var Hansen. Greatly appreciated. Kaylee Smith! Didn't SCOTUS just recently rule about something on the Electoral College? Yes. I from what I understand, this is the only thing today. I could be wrong, but that is the faithless electors are people who decide, well, we're not going to go with the popular vote of the state just because we don't like Trump, or we don't like, just because we've been convinced not to. And I think that's one. That is because they were trying to get faithless electors not to vote for President Trump. So Kaylee Smith, this monumental Supreme Court ruling said if the popular vote goes for a candidate, you have to vote for that candidate, which is great. Valerie Rogers, aliens from planet Nitwit did it. Valerie, thank you. Kaylee Smith. So yeah, this is a really great Supreme Court ruling. President Trump is playing with 8 men on a football field. The other team has not just 11 men, they have 20 men on the football field. Cable news, New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, CNN, all media, all political media, Hollywood for the most part. President Trump has every single day, What has this man done that is so horrible, ladies and gentlemen? Remove Twitter from the equation. What has he done that's so horrible? Over half of all the lives lost are in states run by Democratic governors, and their major cities are run by Democrats. New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Illinois have well over half of all the lives lost because of the pandemic. We had record low unemployment before this. And George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis, a Democratic-run city with a mayor that is so left-leaning, he was told by protesters to leave the protest. Jacob Frey was kind of hilarious. He was like, I'm with you. They're like, get out. Because they wanted to disband law enforcement in the city. And he was like, well, I don't know about that. Whenever they get, like, whenever you get Democrats who are given the opportunity to address the most left-leaning policies, whether it's Medicare for all, whether it's Green New Deal legislation, whether it's defunding law enforcement, they immediately say, nah. But then they pretend that they're like really with the cause. I know because I was I was pretty much on the far left at one point. And then you got to understand, I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster before Rose Twitter. So, where was Rose Twitter, by the way? Where were these people? Because he never really talked about socialism, or being a democratic socialist in 2016. He barely talked about that, Bernie Sanders. But Bernie Sanders is like, I hate to say it, it feels bad. It hurts me to say it, but he's a fraud. The only thing he's known for now is Medicare for all, and nobody's talking about it. And all the people who, I shouldn't say all the people, but a great many of the 4 million sub pundits, they ran that into the ground, ladies and gentlemen. They ran that into the ground. Every single major policy on the left, when Democrats are faced with accepting or trying to actually pass legislation, they deny their truest believers, and the truest believers come back for more. They like to be mistreated. I don't know. I think there's a word for that, or there's they just enjoy being mistreated. They enjoy being trampled upon by the left. I don't know why. They would enjoy that, but they do. So it's like, I learned this. The disloyalty you're talking about. I'm not going to get into actual the treachery, the betrayal, the disloyalty. It could be any cause. It could be any moment on the left, any movement on the left. There's always the fine print. There are always people who it's like the level of treachery, especially on the left. And the reason I say this is because they're more focused. People to the left of center, and I'm talking like everyone from the I'm with her crowd to the Medicare for all crowd to the anarchist crowd to the furthest reaches of the left. They're more interested in policing their own side, in ensuring that people abide by their view of what the left should be than actually defeating Trump. It's true. They claim to be like opposing the conservatives, and their whole lives are predicated upon cutting Trump down to size. They don't realize that President Trump is basically utilizing their fake outrage against them every single day. But when they lose, it is going to be a really thank God. I thank God every day. I thank God every day I left the left. I thank God every day. It's the most dysfunctional, unhappy place. Nothing's ever good enough. Nothing is ever good enough. Nothing. You are never pure enough. You're never good enough. It's always like, you're a Trump supporter, Jay lover. Can the Democrats cancel the debates? Biden? I don't think so. He's going to debate Clinton. Jay, it's going to be Clinton versus Trump. It's going to be Clinton versus Trump. But you have faithless electors now who cannot change their vote to suit whatever preference they want, which helps President Trump immensely. Because you had, in 2016, you had the nation's high court determined that electors who officially cast the state's Electoral College vote are bound by state laws and how those votes are allocated. So most states, from what I understand, most states make sure that electors can't go rogue. I mean, what's the point of having... Look, the Electoral College is not outdated because you cannot let New York and California... You can't let New York and California and Texas decide the fate of the country. Okay, the only reason they want the Electoral College abolished is because they lose, because their message does not resonate. Notice that they have primaries. If it's a popular vote, if it's about the popular vote, Bernie Sanders would win the popular vote. But they have state primaries. So why do Democrats have state primaries? Why do Democrats have state primaries? He'd win the popular vote. This year, he would have won the popular vote easily. Easily. If you factor in New York and, whatever. If you look at, well, maybe not. Let's see here. Democratic primary 2020. Let's see. So they have state primaries. This is interesting. Well, no, Biden won the popular vote by a wide margin because he pretty much won it on March 11th. Was it March when he... So, you know what? I'm wrong about that. Bernie Sanders probably wouldn't have won the popular vote. Well, who knows? If he won Iowa, this is the thing. This is how they cheat. If he won Iowa, which was interesting because he lost Iowa, but still won the popular vote in Iowa and New Hampshire and Nevada. So he went into South Carolina with the popular vote, I believe. But see, again, they still have state primaries. Why don't they just go popular vote? Why is it that Democrats have state primaries, but they want to do away with the Electoral College? So that's an interesting little question that Democrats can't really answer. But let's look at the popular vote. Let's see, popular. Okay, so Democrat, let's say 2016 Democratic. 2016. You look at a lot of... So, in 2016, Bernie Sanders was only about little over... About 3,700,000 votes from Clinton in the popular vote. But you have to understand, he was never given a chance. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign. It wasn't fair and neutral, and he was cheated. And still, she wasn't even the presumptive nominee. Or no, she didn't. No, she was just... What was it? She didn't completely get enough votes to claim she was the presumptive nominee, or she was the nominee before the convention. Keep trying. Julie Lewis, my voice. Julie, thank you. With all due respect, I don't really like the whole message board thing. I'm not down with. But Julie, thank you for your support. I'm not really a fan of that phrase. I have to be honest. But Julie, thank you. Just because, like, I don't want to go where, like, I don't know where people are going. It's just, like, I don't know where everyone's going, so I don't really want to go with, like, everyone. That phrase I don't get. But Julie Lewis, thank you so very, 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 very much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. But I'm not a fan of the whole message board thing at all. But people who've watched me for a long time understand that. But anyway, Julie, thank you, Julie Lewis, thank you. Democrats have state primaries, but they want to do away with the Electoral College. What happens if they lose the popular vote? The popular vote also is the function of media coverage. Media can't stand President Trump. What has he done that's worse? Like, what has Trump done that's worse than what President Obama did with a failed NATO intervention to obliterate a country? What has he done that's worse? I don't know what he's done that's worse. There's nothing that he's done that's worse. Oh, Lord, what did I do here? There's nothing that he's done that could even be close to, like, their entire lives rest upon what Trump tweets. Their entire lives, their entire existence rests upon the outrage elicited by Trump's quotes. Well, like, what do I care? What do I care? When they lose again, nobody is going to care. Nobody is going to care. Nobody is going to care when when Trump wins. Now, Democrats could get the popular vote just because they have pretty much all of media. And who knows? I mean, if it's Clinton, they'll probably get the popular vote. However, the interesting thing is the following. You don't have Gary Johnson. And I keep on saying this. I don't think they get this. I don't think they understand. I don't think anyone really understands the impact that Gary Johnson had. And they don't understand if Kanye West follows through with this, they won't understand the impact that Kanye West will have on the popular vote for Democrats. They don't win the popular vote if Kanye West, like, you know, manages to form a functioning a campaign that functions and that can communicate a platform and that can express lofty ideals or exemplify or articulate or communicate a message that Democrats usually try to claim for their own. He can take like millions of votes away. But Gary Johnson impact on 2016 election. Let's see what people... How Gary Johnson helped elect Donald Trump. This is hilarious. Then, of course, the Washington Post. Gary Johnson helped Hillary. He did. Not by enough, but he did. Of course. Of course. So Gary Johnson's candidacy helped Hillary. Democrats' efforts to delegitimize Johnson hurt Hillary. And on election day, if Gary Johnson hadn't been in a race, Trump would have won by more. Yeah! What have I been saying? What have I been saying? My God almighty, this is November 11th, 2016. By Sasha Volokh. Gary Johnson helped Hillary, not enough. So that's true. There you go. There you go. People weren't voting for People weren't voting Libertarian because they were closet Democrats. If anything, they lean more conservative, a lot more conservative on a bunch of issues. They probably don't like Trump. They probably think Trump is too much of a Democrat. But then they look at Democrats and they say, you know what? I'll roll the dice. Climb BMX. Your analysis of swing states probably going down was quite sobering. If Pennsylvania, Florida, Wisconsin, Ohio go Democrat, then the DNC gets the Electoral College. Is that correct? Yeah. If Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Florida, and Ohio. Yes. Yeah. If Pennsylvania, yes, but they have to win Iowa too, I believe. Let's look at it. Climb BMX. Old school dad man. HA still trying to wrap my head around Biden being the nominee in the first place. What did he have? 27 running? Yeah. Julie Lewis! Know what I love about you? Don't like, but you're still respectful. Hands up for joy. Kudos. Julie Lewis! Julie Lewis. I want to thank you, Julie, so much. I just want to thank you, and old school dad man, I feel your pain. Climb BMX. What they did to my wife was a criminal act that only God Almighty, the Lord above, will rectify. Julie, thank you again. Thank you, Julie. I just want to tell you, all those people who spread nonsense about my lovely, charming, beautiful wife, the Lord has a message for you. When it's your time, just remember, if you go to a place where there's no air conditioning, don't say I didn't warn you. Trying to mess with the Clintons. Climb BMX. If Julie, thank you again. If they win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, they've won the election. Yay! It's Madam President. Da, 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 da. Here's Madam President in a private server with top secret intel. Yeah, there goes the Durham probe. Bye. Da, 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 da. But Climb BMX, if they don't win Minnesota, which I don't think they will actually, they still lose by 2. Thanks for playing. Electoral College. It's in the Constitution. You can try to erase it, but you need a constitutional amendment. Have fun getting that across 2/3 of the House and Senate and 2/3 of the states. So that ain't gonna happen. Climb BMX. Fantomos Fanto. I would like to know, what effect do you think the lockdown has had on Democrats' turnout? Horrendous. Fantomos. Horrendous. That's going to bite them in the rear end. Big time. Fantomos, everyone here, please be here November 3rd. It's going to be fantastic. Oh my God, will it be fantastic. They won't have Gary Johnson to mess things up for Trump. Oh, Gary, do you want to run again? Do you want to run again, Gary? William Barr is going to continue with the Durham probe. That's how William Barr speaks. If you notice that when William Barr is asked by a cable news journalist why he is Trump's lackey and Trump's toady and Trump's best friend forever, if you notice that William Barr responds with the most diplomatic insults that could ever be devised by an egghead like him. It's kind of hilarious listening to William Barr. He's like, because the cable news is like, isn't it true that you are basically working as Trump's personal lawyer? And he's like, actually, that's not the truth, and we're going to go where the law takes us. If indeed James Comey made everything up simply as a way to ensure that Trump wouldn't be president, then you mess with the best, and we're going to indict people if the law brings us there. Fantamos, it's going to be horrendous for turnout. But you look at if they won Iowa, that's a thing too. They have no room for error. Okay, see, they could win Wisconsin, they could win Michigan, they could win Pennsylvania. All right, let's reset the map to 2016 actual. Now Trump won Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Let's go blue. Okay, you keep everything the same. Keep everything the same. If he wins Minnesota, they can win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. The most important states for President Trump are not Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. They're Ohio and Florida. That's 47 electoral votes right there. Okay? 47 electoral votes in 2 states, Ohio and Florida. Now, I think he's going to win Florida, and I think he's going to win Ohio. Okay. But old school dad, man. HA, how many miles of wall has been built? I'm not sure. Daniel Bogdan, thank you. Those two were fantastic. Old school dad, man, thank you. I don't know. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. But see, like, I don't understand, like, the polls are worthless. Democrats are overrepresented. They ask questions. Okay, they say that this is an absurd question. If the election were held today, well, who are you asking, number one? Number two, the average person who's going to spend a half an hour with a company on the phone is not voting for Trump. The Republican that's going to do that is not voting for President Trump. Nobody voting for Trump. None of the 63 million people he got are answering the phone like this. Washington Post, yes. Hi. CNN, yes. I'm not doing anything. I have nothing. I'm not doing. It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. I have nothing to do. Nothing. Sure. Well, it's fine. Let's talk. How are the kids? I don't know you, but how are they? I'm fine. Trump? No. Honey, I would never vote for Trump, ever. Did you hear that? Huh? Still a headache? Yeah. Okay, bye. Call me back. We can talk later. Why not? Call me back, okay? It's CNN, right? Washington Post, right? Who does that? Who spends a half an hour with people on the phone? Who does that? Who spends like that much time on the phone? Like nobody does that. So Twitter also is going to be pretty much the demise. Do you think Twitter is going to be relevant next election? Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Twitter is not going to be social media is not going to be relevant next election. It's interesting. Like people truly like they don't get that. Social media amplifies sentiments that already exist. That's it. That's it. It amplifies sentiments that already exist, and it actually it's, oh my God, look what they're doing to, they're trying to go and insult Kanye West every day. What is it's like the Lincoln Project? This is very interesting. Trump is done. He knows it. This is so hilarious. Oh my God. Trump is done. He's going to go out like a drunk guy getting kicked off a fight. Yeah, yelling. Right. When they lose again, Christmas will be more dignified with Trump losing this November. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. What on earth are they going to do? What on earth yet are they going to do when he wins? They have convinced themselves, people. They have convinced themselves. Kaylee Smith, love to hear your thoughts about Parlay. Twitter's, you know what, Kaylee, I think I heard it's really good, but I don't know. I don't think any social media is good for this election. I would stay clear. I would stay far away from social media. Message board based. Any message board that says trust sessions or whatever. Oh my God. Just on a side note, I think Flynn was kind of referencing just people who helped him, not, super secret spy agents on message boards that secretly helped Trump, and we don't have to get into that. But I don't even know if that platform still exists anymore, the original platform, or whatever. But anyway, I think that social media, Kaylee, I would steer any message board, this Twitter, Facebook, even Parler or Parlay, I would steer clear of it. The only reason why is because this is going to be there's going to be so much negativity. Do you remember the bubbling, slime that would bubble up in Ghostbusters 2? If you had that today, it would be it would engulf the universe because of Twitter and Facebook. Kaylee, thank you. It would engulf the universe because of Twitter and Facebook. So I would actually just stay away from I would stay away from the Twitter, Facebook. I don't see any benefit, because you got to understand, they're doing it again, but even more so because Trump is their worst nightmare. And God bless the president. God bless the president. The Secret Service, and I'm just going to say, God bless them. They have to, this is the negativity and the vitriol and the venom. It's too much, and it's actually not warranted. Their disdain for Trump is not warranted. It's Bush got us, and Bush got the country into never-ending conflict that immediately ruined the lives of millions of people in the United States and also millions upon millions around the world. The foreign policy led to the most atrocious unintended consequences, or intended consequences, or whatever. Bush is directly responsible for ruining the lives of millions upon millions. President Obama, Clinton, and Biden are directly responsible for human beings being bought and sold in Libya, because their failed NATO intervention brought chaos and mayhem. There's nothing that President Trump has done that even comes close to the horrific mistakes of Bush and President Obama. And yet the disdain and the vitriol and the venom, like, it's just unbelievable. So when they lose again, because they appealed to authorities, they worshipped polls, and they were let down in 2016. They're doing the same thing all over again because they can't fathom. See, this is the problem with the left. They can't fathom why anyone would think differently from them, and they don't care to find out why, and they don't want to find out why, and they're ignorant as to why anyone would vote for Trump. They don't care, they don't want to know, and they just think that Trump is an anomaly. But you got to understand, when he wins, and he could very well win the popular vote, that political side is pretty much done. And I don't know how they rebound. It took Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, Mueller. It took a lot. It took a lot for them to save face. Like, it took a lot for them to save face. Like, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for them to save face, to rebound from that loss. Okay? You can't say you're going to defeat somebody in the ring forever. And then, you can't say that, like, you're going to defeat Trump forever and then lose to President Trump. Luke St. Martin, thank you. Luke St. Martin, thank you. Eric H526, thank you. So, I don't know. I don't see, I really, really don't see. First of all, they're not going to win. Secondly, it ain't going to be with Biden. It's going to be with Clinton. It ain't going to be with Biden. So you can rest assured it ain't going to be with Biden. All right? Because that's a bunch of nonsense. That is a bunch of nonsense. So you have a very jaded Odigambabutu. HA, what do you think about a new video sharing platform, almost like a YouTube for free speech with no censorship? Well, you have BitChute. That's a platform that people use that has like zero censorship. I don't know. I think that as of right now, YouTube has a clear monopoly for many years. The only thing I can say that the more that YouTube algorithm like clamps down on people, the greater the chances that they don't have the monopoly forever. But as of right now, I believe Twitch has more streaming. So Twitch, this is why, like, if you have a live stream, like I have 455 people now on the live stream, that's pretty good. Like, it's not amazing, but it's pretty good for a channel of my size. It's pretty good. It's in terms of I think the only platform I think that can Odinga Mobutu, I think the only platform that comes close to it is Twitch, I think. But that's more for video games. I think. But I am going to when the I might like start a Twitch political channel. I don't know. I don't know. Is there a politics section? So there is a politics section. So I might I don't know. I have to look at it. But right now I have H.A. Goodman, H.A. Goodman's other channel, so we'll see. It's gonna be interesting. Let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back at around 11:15 or so. So be here at 11:15, people. And I'll probably start also a membership on this channel as well. So for people who want to become members. And I'll find ways to, make the membership worthwhile. People, thanks so much, everyone. I'll be back in about an hour and a half or so, hour 20. God bless you. Thank you to my super chat, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon link is below, people. And just thank you so much to my new Patreons for your support. Without you, I'm telling you, without my Patreons and the super chat, it would be very difficult for me to do this exclusively. So I really appreciate your support. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. This is going to be a really, really interesting. This is going to be a really interesting election, ladies and gentlemen. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Not that Trump's going to win, so that's a political call. I don't care if it's Biden. If it's Biden, Trump wins easily. They're completely delusional. They're completely delusional. Okay. Their contempt for Trump, Chase, thank you. Their contempt for Trump has made them believe that a person who looks and acts like an exhumed body could defeat him. Ladies and gentlemen, be back in about an hour. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you, everybody. Thanks to the moderators, to my super chat, to my Patreons, thank you. And I will see you in about an hour and a half.